Joy Boy's 800-year-old Haki was so strong that it wiped out the entire force of 100 marine battleships, including the Vice Admirals. This is no small feat because some of them actually had non-fodder designs.
Hey bro, come on now, dawg.
Whereas Luffy isn't even close to reaching that level, as without the help of Joy Boy and Emmett, bro would have died 2 chapters ago. But instead, we are finally leaving Egghead and going to Elbaf.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
In the Giant's Island, Luffy will learn the secret behind the potency of Joy Boy's Haki and unlock the full extent of his imagination Nika powers to literally wield infinite Haki. While everyone is celebrating escaping Egghead safely, Sanji, who always serves as the clever brains of the crew working out problems from the background, is thinking about Vegapunk and his message, especially since the old man died right in front of him. Thankfully though, the broadcast is over and we won't need to hear the old man yapping again. No. Okay, this time it's not a recap, rather we get an insight into how the Vegapunks managed to outsmart York and the world government into showing the world the real truth. 14 days before Luffy and the gang arrived at Egghead, Shaka and Pythagoras started to notice some anomalous readings coming from the power station. This fluctuation in data leads Shaka to surmise that someone has tampered with the Mother Flame, suggesting that not only is Mother Flame a power source for Egghead, but it may have a massive hand in creating artificially juiced up monsters such as the Seraphim, which could give us a huge hint towards uncovering how Vegapunk creates artificial devil fruits. We know that real fruits spawn through the wishes and wants of people, as Vegapunk said it in chapter 1066. Similarly, to create artificial fruits, you must need a non-natural way to create will for that fruit to exist, which is what Mother Flame seems to be, giving further evidence to our ballsy prediction that Mother Flame is actually a compressed form of artificial Haki. This is what the Ancient Kingdom was using for their infinite fuel source, and Joy Boy used a similar principle to store his own Haki with the giant robot Emmett. Why else would Shaka comment about energy being given to Seraphim's development being changed, then right after talk about Mother Flame being tampered with? That suggests a direct correlation between the two. Honestly, if you've been watching our videos, this makes perfect sense, considering just how monstrably strong the Seraphim are, as we have seen them 1v1 Zoro, Blackbeard, and Luffy with barely any sweat. So of course, you need a power source straight out of the Ancient Kingdom to be able to do that. However, after catching this error with the power station, the only conclusion Stella, Shaka, and Pythagoras come to is that it has to be one of the Vegapunks that are doing this. And the first one to be called out for venting is of course Lilith, the evil segment of the Vegapunks. But as we know, it's actually York, not Lilith, that is the traitor. Although Lilith is known as the evil part of Vegapunk, evil in this context doesn't necessarily mean that part will become someone like, let's say, Dofi. For Lilith, evil means being rambunctious, ruthless, and selfish towards Vegapunk's true goals. She's the one going out into the sea and looting incoming vessels for supplies and resources. None of the other satellites have the capacity for that type of mindset to rob and pirate for their own means. Lilith was even okay with sending the Straw Hats right to CP0 just so all the satellites could be safe. Just 2 chapters ago, Lilith had to be knocked out by Atlas just so she could sacrifice herself. The evil satellite of Vegapunk is more selfish and caring towards the Vegapunks than anything. However, York, who represents the scientists' greed, is a different story. Since the start of this arc, one of the core themes is Vegapunk dealing with his guilt, which stems from his greed. For example, he didn't want to join Monkey Deadbeat Dragon's freedom fighters because he was broke as hell. Instead, he chose the world government, as they had all the tools and resources necessary for Vegapunk to do his research. His greed for new discoveries and knowledge is the reason for all the heinous acts Vegapunk committed, like trapping and doing scientific experiments on a young king in Punk Hazard decades ago. That part of Vegapunk is what York represents. However, in Stella's mind, he was greedy but felt that his research would eventually help save countless more people. He was in the end doing it all for the betterment of humanity. York, on the other hand, literally sold out her her own kin just so she could have more for herself with no clear end goal in mind. Like, there is a huge short-sightedness here, because after the government gets their Mother Flame facility, they will have no use for York, leading to her eventual destruction, just like what they're doing with the other satellites. That is what greed does in our world too. If there are 6 candies being given out to 6 of you and your friends, greed might want all 6 for herself, but in the long run, all that candy will only cause her to become unhealthy and suffer, and she won't have any more friends. Greed is also the vehicle through which a lot of the issues we're having in modern times is stemming from, like the short-sightedness of companies creating massive plastic waste piles or the sea level to rise. As long as there is profit in the next quarter, you can do whatever. That's the mindset Oda is trying to represent here with York. After figuring out that York is the imposter, Stella, Pythagoras, and Shaka come up with a plan to instead use this mishap as an opportunity to give the world everything they have discovered. So they bring out the video Mushi, and the recording of the yappening starts 6 days before the present. During all this, Lulusia Kingdom also is destroyed, and the world's sea level starts to rise. Instantly, Vegapunk figures out that Mother Flame was used by the world government to power an ancient weapon, which confirms our Balls Deep prediction once again that Emu has Uranus. After the broadcast is recorded, Shaka suggests that there is still time for them to flee, but Vegapunk, riddled with guilt of him personifying his greed, is what led to the death of countless people in Lulusia Kingdom, and now the world is sinking too. So even if Vegapunk and the gang escape, the government won't let up. So instead of letting the government simply kill the genius scientist and blame it on a pirate like Luffy, Vegapunk will use his death to amplify their voices and show the world the truth. However, Shaka and Pythagoras ask an interesting question. What does it even mean for one of the satellites to die? Do they stop functioning when Stella is dead? We know they don't, as in the present, Lilith and York are functioning just fine on their own. So there might actually be a way for, let's say, Frankie to piece together Stella, maybe in a computer form, to help guide everyone. Sort of like an AI assistant. But I don't need Vegapunk AI to go extra balls deep on these chapters, because I have gamer subs. The mango flavor is actually banging, and for all of you 5-Anji fans, they have anime titty milk and anime girl thigh. Go wild using code ABD for 10% off. Meanwhile, Vegapunk decides to erase his and the other 2 satellites' memories of the last 2 weeks to make sure there is zero suspicion of what is about to happen. The only hint they give themselves is a note saying that shit's about to hit the fan, be careful and trust in yourself. Just as they read this note, Emperor Straw Hat Luffy has entered Egghead, while Saturn, Kizaru, and the Marines aren't too far behind either. So Vegapunk tells Sanji that he wants to die. I guess that's why bro got in the same car as 5-Anji, because if it was Zoro, ain't no way he would have let this old man die on his watch. But 5-Anji, he's, you know, the 5th strongest in the crew and everything.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
Seriously though, Vegapunk does tell Sanji one other thing, that he wants the Straw Hats to discover the One Piece. Furthermore, during the flashback, the scientist also references the cloud making machine and how that will be of use in the future as the world is sinking. This could be a massive hint that the world will definitely be underwater and Luffy will have to save the world using Vegapunk's invention. Something Joy Boy couldn't do with his Noah 800 years ago. But as Sanji is trying to figure out what Vegapunk's actions mean, the rest of the crew is busy partying it up alongside the giants because we're going to Elbaf. Luffy though, he's knocked out in his old man raisin form while lying on Nami's lap. But not before saying thank you to Emmett for saving them. Yet the giant robot who was just speaking with Luffy has no voice anymore, which confirms that it was the residual Haki or will present inside the robot that carried it to fight alongside the Straw Hats. This is similar to how Kuma managed to break through his programming as a cyborg and the brainwashing from the Celestials to fly all the way from where Monkey Deadbeat Dragon was to actually doing something in Egghead. Mr. Deadbeat, do you have something to say?
Off you, you fat useless sack of Yankee danky doodle shit. Off
Will you please?
As sad as saying goodbye to Emmett is though, the robot showed us a glimpse into the pinnacle of power in the One Piece universe. What bro just did is key to how Luffy will deal with the gorosei and Imu in the final saga. All of Luffy's Haki punches that had no effect on the gorosei just a minute ago doesn't matter anymore because he has seen that it is possible to harm them through Joy Boy's stored Haki. Now it's only a matter of Luffy gaining the knowledge and training to harness the same power, and that will happen in Elbaf, which happens to be one of the civilizations around the world which have a greater connection to Joy Boy than any other, especially considering that giants live 300 to 400 years. The Void Century happened much closer for them than the rest of the world. The memories and stories might still be lingering on that island, including the secret to Joy Boy's Haki. And let's not forget rat-haired Shanks is their chieftain. He is the Haki man, where other than the Haki blast from last chapter, Shanks is the man who held the title of the strongest Haki man with the most output shown on screen. Prime Roger, Whitebeard could have Haki on the level of Shanks, but we haven't directly seen them use that on screen. But with Shanks, against Kid, against Greenbow, we saw Shanks do it. Dory and Broggy even comment about how the Haki blast was much stronger than even Shanks's. Currently though, Luffy just simply does not compare to any of this. We watch him struggle to do anything to Warkiri when he's being chased, even when in Gear 5. Meanwhile, one blast from Joy Boy was enough to force Warkiri and the other gorosei back to Marijua in an instant. We're in the endgame right now. There's only a few islands left, but the gap between Luffy and Shanks is still big, and as we know, Shanks is also aiming to claim the One Piece, so even if Imu doesn't hold up, he will at least need to be able to defeat the red-haired pirates. To do this, in Elbaf, Luffy will go on a quest to learn and understand the essence of Nika's powers. We've seen Luffy create goggles out of thin air or a bat, but still, he is only utilizing the rubbery power of this fruit. He isn't using the imagination and fantastical nature of this fruit's awakening. In Elbaf, he might need this aspect to fight a cunning and imaginative opponent like Prince Loki, as he's inspired from Loki from Norse mythology. Or better yet, you know how Shanks is known as the killer of observation Haki, where he's so proficient with it that your observation doesn't even matter next to him? Luffy's awakening to deal with the gorosei might be him amassing so much Conqueror's Haki around him that it cancels out devil fruit powers of the gorosei, just like how Emmett's Haki blast turned them all back to humans. However, there's one more wild card left in Egghead, Kizaru and Saturn. Both of them are still chilling near the island as the Straw Hats escape. Now, Kizaru with his Pika Pika no Mi can travel at light speed. If he willed it, he could probably still chase after Luffy and the Straw Hats. Same with Saturn, but the more likely outcome might be Kizaru fighting and destroying Egghead itself. This is the great big incident, but of course, it will be framed as Luffy destroying Egghead and killing Saturn, which would also help out Blackbeard pirates who have gained access to Saturn's appearance recently. That needs to play a role as well. Don't take that seriously though, because a dragon might show up to Egghead and beat Saturn. Who knows? Who knows? Monkey Duck beat Drag, he might be still on his way. Please go check out our Patreon, guys. Shueisha been a bitch lately at striking videos again. Your support would mean the world. And honestly, I need some consoling on the Patreon chat after Dragon's betrayal to all of us. I'm losing my mind. Meanwhile, check out this banger video on screen right now.